Hi everyone, welcome back to Plum Mashable. So for today's video I'm going to be using the Planner's Anonymous Australiana kit to make 3 very simple but very pretty cards. So let's go ahead and get to it. Alright, so the reason that I have left Australiana for last, because it was the last of the 4 boxes that I got. So I've done my project with Country Cottage, I've done my project with Planner Love, I've done my project with Book Lover 2.0. The reason I left this one for last because it was my favourite kit, but I had so much trouble trying to think of a project for it. And that sounds horrible, but it's not the way I mean it. It is so pretty that I couldn't think of a way to use it to its full advantage. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do something that's so simple it's not funny. But it's going to give these beautiful pieces of paper a chance to shine. Now if you saw the planner party that I did with Sammy for Australiana, we did some dashboards. But in the end of that, while Sammy was finishing her dashboards, I just had a bunch of stuff in front of me, and so I just started creating. And I made this little card, and this is where I'm getting my inspiration from today. This is so simple. This is all using the stuff that comes out of the digital kit. You can go and make your own so easily. The only thing that's not is the sentiment and the little balls, but you don't need them. They're just a little extra. You probably do need a sentiment, but it's just the papers. But we're just going to add a little bit to kind of fix it up. Not fix it up, to add a bit of zhuzh. So I've picked out my 3 pieces that I'm going to use today. I'm going to use the Vegemite one. We're going to use this one for something different, the dark one, and we're going to use this gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous floral paper. So I'm going to start with, the Vegemite. So I'm bringing my trimmer in. Now you can use dies for this if you want to. I'm today quite happy to just go with just doing it this way. So when it comes to card making, I like to work on panels and then stick my panel to a card base. I just find it easier. So what I'm going to do is just measure my card base to be the same as my bit of paper. Now I want this one to be a vertical card, so I'm fine to just go ahead and cut this down. Obviously if you have a die, it's a little bit easier because you don't have to measure anything. You know they're going to be the same size. But this is just the way I'm going to do it. And it doesn't matter if it's not completely perfect. We can always trim it down later. Pretty sure I cut it to A5, this one. And this is just my little way of being as particular as I can be when it comes to cutting my paper. I just like to try and make it right. Doesn't always work, but I try. Alright, so we've got our little card base panel here. What I want to do with this one, you could seriously be that simple. You could just cut it out and that would be it. This one I want to give just a little bit of dimension and a bit of something a little bit not different, but just give it a bit more. And I think just a little border of black's actually going to make this lovely. So I'm going to trim off a little bit more on all my edges. So I'm just going to give it I'm sort of just going to cut it to the next sort of 1/4 inch from wherever it sits. So you could have measured this in the beginning. This is just my creative process kind of working. So just cutting a little bit off each edge. I'm still pretty sure that's square. Yep. And I'm going to bring in this piece of black paper. So this is just plain black paper, nothing fancy. And I'm just going to give it just a little matting around the edge. Now I do actually find it easier just to tack this down. Sorry, I've still got a bit of a creak. I caught a cold last week and I've still got a bit of a croaky throat. Just a cold, I did not get COVID again. So I'm just tacking that down. It is not stuck, it's just tacked. And then I'm going to line the edge of my patterned paper up with my, what's this thing called? Protectory thing. And that's going to give me this little border, because now I can move this to be where I want it. So it's going to give it a slightly thicker border, which is fine. We'll do the same thing, just tack it down. And then if I use that same, helps if you put it straight-ish anyway. If I use that same distance, so from the edge of the protector shield thing here, I'll get the same sort of rough. Yeah, I'm making sure that my black page is the right thickness rather than the other one. Now this is going to be a little bit taller. It's alright, I'll just cut my panel down. So it's going to be sort of 3 layers here. And you'll see with another one, this one's a really good one to do as a whole panel because it just looks, it's got such a different look to it, but we will add something so that it doesn't just be the paper. So I'm going to grab the paper and just mat this on here. So I'm just trying to make it square, that's the first thing. I want it to be straight, but then I also want to have a sort of even edge around it. Even-ish. There we go. And then just more glue all around the edge and straight onto the panel. You guys have seen me do this before. I either use my Misty or a scoreboard just to try and get this butted right up against the edge, and that way I know it's flush. And if I do happen to go not quite straight, not quite perfect, or I've got a little bit of leftover, I can just trim that off. So to add a little bit of zhuzh, grabbing my glossy accents, and I'm just going to go around all the hearts and make them all glossy. That way it'll give it some dimension, but not take away from the, what's the word I'm looking for, from the beauty or the interestingness of the page. I was going to say I'm not going to do that one, but I am. So anywhere where there's a part of a pink heart on the jar, I'm just making a raised heart with the glossy accents. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but just sort of following the shape around. Now that that's done, I'm just going to hold it up in the light and make sure I've got everywhere I needed to. If I get any little air bubbles, I just grab my little tool here and just sort of pop them or move them around. And then I'm just, on the edge of my black paper, I've just had some sort of seep off. I'm just wiping off some of the excess because I don't want it on the black if I can avoid it. Alright, so while that one's drying, we'll come back and put the sentiment on afterwards. So I'm just going to put that off to the side. While that one's drying, we're going to move on to the next one. So for this one, same size panel, I think I want to do, a full yellow. I'm just grabbing the other bit. So I've actually used a little bit of this one, so I'm going to use this one first rather than using the bit I've already got. So I'm going to cut this down to be the same size as my card base. No edging this time, just the same. That one I'm going to tear. So we're going to have beautiful yellow as the back. I'll trim that down in a minute, that'll be fine. We should have done a bit high. That's right, I'm going to use this bit instead. And I'm just going to tear it along that top edge, just so it gives it just a bit of something. And because it's dark paper, that white gives you a really cool contrast. So I'm just tearing it gently. Don't need to go too fast. And I'm just giving it just a bit of a rub just with my hand. I'm just trying to distress that just a little bit. And then same thing as before, we'll just put this all together. If we're a little bit too big on one side, that's fine, we can just trim off the excess. You don't really need to put it on the panel if you don't want to. It's just me because I like my panels to be a bit thick. I just feel like it gives me a much more finished kind of edge or kind of card front. But it's not necessary, you can go straight to a card front panel with this, it'll be fine. Alright, so I've just trimmed off all the white edges. I probably made it a little bit smaller, but that's fine. And then I'm just grabbing the die cuts that I've got here. These all came from the kit. And I'm just having a look to see where to put all the others. If there's anything here that kind of works. Because you could, like I said at the start, the papers are the star here. You don't need to add any more. But you obviously can. I like it without it. I like it without it. One thing I do want to do though. No, I don't. I was going to put it up. I was going to put it up on a little bit of foam tape, but I don't think I will. I think it looks fine the way it is. When we do the sentiments, because we'll do sentiments all at the same time, I'll add something else on that one, but that's the basis of that card. Damn, I like it that way, but it would also look good sideways. But the reason I didn't do that one sideways is because I'm going to do this next one sideways. So you can't do both. So this one I'm going to be a little bit more frugal with my paper. So I am going to cut it to the same height as my card. But then rather than using the whole bit and stacking it up like I did on the other card, I'm going to lay them sort of next to each other. So I'm still going to take sort of roughly how wide. It's a little bit wider, but that's fine. And I really want that bottom. I really like that galah, so I'm aiming at that galah there. And I'm going to trim that to be just so I've got my galah there. There we go. So he's going to sit on the front, and then I'm going to flip this over and use the other side. I'm actually going to move that over just a smidgen because I'm going to try and make this flat. So I love dimension on cards, you guys know that, but I feel like this time for this one I want to try and make this a one, not quite one layer, but more one layer. So give it a bit of a zhuzh. Just deciding if I want to use the mirror gold or I like the matte gold. So I'm just going to trim a skinny little strip here. For those of you playing along at home, I'm going to make it sort of about 1/2 centimetre, but just know that I'm using my guide here, and that's not 100% perfect. So maybe a little bit more than half, might be a little bit more than half, but it's about that. And even then, looking at it, I think that might be too big, but we'll see. Oh no, that should be fine. That should be fine. I'm not throwing that away, but I'm just going to do it just a teensy little bit thinner than that. So it's probably going to be about, shush, apologies, about sort of 0.3. That's better. That's better. Just, I love the thin strips. So then, same as before, we're just going to put glue tape You can use any other kind of glue that you want here, you don't have to use glue tape. And just line that up on that side. Now remember, we're going on that side, so sort of working in reverse at the moment. Same as before, if you miss, we can just cut the panel down. Now somehow I've got something on there. If you ever sort of see that you've got dirt or some kind of transfer, just grab yourself an eraser and just very lightly rub. Don't rub really hard because you can pull the paper, like pull the colour off the paper. But just a light kind of rub usually does the job. Alright, and then we're going to get that strip and a bit of scrap. And just straight down the middle, and then maybe just a little bit more. Ooh. And then just butt that right up against the other piece of paper. And then I do find that I get a little bit of adhesive sort of there when I do that, so I'm just giving it a bit of a rub. And I'm also just going to grab my T-ruler really quickly, because I just want to see if that's straight, because you won't get the right effect if it's not. Oh, that makes me happy. And then for the other side, I'm just going to put glue all over the back and then just stick it down. Now it is going to be a little wide, and that's fine. I didn't design it that way, but because I've got my galah, which is the bit that I want closest to the middle, at least when I cut off all the excess, it's going to be, the galah's still going to be where I want it to be. So trim off the excess of the gold first, and then we'll come in and get rid of this excess. Oh yeah, so it's not a half, it's not a third, it's kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It's just a little bit more than a third, but I just love that. And I'm just giving it a quick trim on the top and the bottom just to get rid of any of the white bits. And then for this one, I think it's the same as the others. I could really easily put something else on here, like put a die cut or something, but I think the paper on its own is actually fine, and especially because I've made a feature of that galah, I feel like it's fine the way it is. Alright, so from there, it's still tacky, so we can't finish that one off, but we can do the other two. When it comes to sentiments, PA doesn't always have the right sentiments for cards and stuff. In the stamp set, you've got You Beauty, No Worries, and Sweet As. None of them are really going to do what I want them to do. So, I'm going to grab out my favourite stamp set for sentiments. This is the Honeybee Stamps Bee Buzzwords. I'm grabbing, what am I going to get? I'm actually really tempted to make one other one, because I think something with a koala and then sending hugs would just be really cute. We'll think about it. I'll come back to it in a minute. So I'm going to do Thanks Sweet Friend for the Vegemite one, because for anyone that knows, Vegemite is so not sweet. So it's a bit of a funny pun. I think I might do, I'm not actually sure that a happy birthday on that one's going to work. I think Thanks Sweet Friend will work on that one. And this one might just be, there's a love. Okay, so we're going to have You Make Me Happy, Thanks Sweet Friend, and then we'll do an Enjoy Your Day. So for all of them, I'm going to put the sub-sentiment on black. So the cool thing is I can do them all at once. The other ones, I think the thanks one I'm going to do in black embossing, because I think that'll look really cool on the everything else, and then the glossy finish is going to look really cool. I'm going to do the happy, actually I'm going to do the happy all in gold, and then the enjoy your day. I'm still kind of trying to work out how I'm going to do that. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do all of those bits and I'll be right back. Card number 1, not quite complete. Just grabbing a little bit of Nuvo drops. This one's called Antique Gold, Bright Gold. I'll just check it. Yes, that's the right colour. I could use sort of some of my baubles for this. Quite happy just to use a couple of drops of Nuvo drops here. And I'm just keeping them on the... I may have gone over the top, but I will. Now they're a little bit peaky, so to me they don't look like baubles, they look kind of like they've got peaks. If you just give them a bit of a flick, it tends to flatten them out. Then they kind of look like those gems. Alright, so that's one. You go over there. This one I know I'm happy with, so I'm just again checking to see how dry that is. Pretty close. Oh, she says as she sticks her finger in the wet one. That's fine. I'll cover that. I'll use this to cover that mess up, so that's fine. So the thanks, because it's going to go right over the top, not right over the top, but over one of these hearts. I'm just going to put it up on a little bit of really skinny foam. And I'm just going to put it sort of either end of the thanks. And then we'll have that sort of bit in the middle. That'll be fine. If it gets stuck on there, it's not a big deal. So just stick those down. I really like the black embossing powder on here. That shine is really, really, really cool, and it just kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Vegemite's definitely very matte, which is why all of these other ones being matte works. But because that one's glossy, and then when you move them around you kind of get the shine of the others, it all really works nicely together. And the sweet friend can go straight underneath. And again, I'm just going to put that flat because I think it tucks in really nicely underneath that thanks. So just flat for that one. And I love how that looks really cool on a bit of white, because I'm not really a white person when it comes to sentiments. I generally like them to be on black. That one works. So you've got that Thanks Sweet Friend. I love the way that that all picks up that little bit of gloss. Oh, so good. Okay, and then the last one's the one I'm struggling with. And I'm not struggling with it because it's not lovely. I'm struggling. I don't know why. I can't work out how, what. I'm really happy with the Enjoy Your Day, but I just can't find what I want to put this on. It just needs something else, and I just can't quite work it out. Maybe it does need to go that way. Sometimes it's just the way you're looking at it's not quite right. Alright, so if it was like that, and then the Your Day sits over the top, but then what to cut it out with? I don't think this is the answer. Oh, actually, it's just a lot more subtle than I thought I would like it, but I think that actually looks really cool. So what I did was I did that with clear embossing powder, and what it's done, it's just made the paper a little bit darker under there, but it's not, it's just very subtle. Sentiments don't always have to be big and bold. But I like that yellow sort of on the side. And I originally didn't think that that would be what I'd want. I thought I would want it the other way. But there's something about that that I really like. And then just to give it just a pop, and then what I'm going to do, two things. I'm going to put this little one on just a tinsy wincy little bit of foam tape. By the way, if anyone asks, the way I cut those out, the sub-sentiments out with the Gina K Simple Sentiments die set, I got it with the one of the Christmas sets. It was so good. I think it's now available everywhere, and it's probably my favourite little sentiment set. It's so good. So I'm going to have that Enjoy Your Day. And I'm just going to grab my black Nuvo drops or white Nuvo drops. Actually, let's do neither. I'm just going to do a little bit, just a couple of little drops of glossy accents. This is just my big bottle, but I have a big bottle and a little bottle. Because we've used the gold, not the gold, the clear embossing powder. Just want to keep it sort of the same finish. Same finish. So we've got glossy sort of bits on both. Again, it's very subtle. It's not an in-your-face kind of finish, but it's just there. So there you have it. You've got my 3 cards. Obviously they're not quite finished yet. The Nuvo drops have not finished drying, and I did have every intention of making one of these a horizontal card, but you know, I stuck with the verticals. I love this one, and I love the design of it. It's just so simple. I actually really like the amount of drops that I did. I like that there's 2 different sizes. And I really like this one, which is funny because I don't like Vegemite, but there's something cool about that one. And I think I know enough people that would really enjoy that one. It's such an Aussie card to send. And I can definitely see myself making a couple more, especially these 2. But there's something about this one too. The sentiment's not quite right. But if someone has a suggestion, I might be able to pull that off and fix it up. But anyway, they're my 3 cards using the gorgeous Australiana kit. Like I said, this paper, this collection, everything about this kit, it doesn't need to be overstated. It doesn't need to be complicated because it is so gorgeous. It's just good on its own. I've seriously just used paper and some sentiments there and a couple of little embellishments, and that's it. But the paper is doing all the talking here, and I absolutely love it. I hope you guys did love them too. If you did, please give them a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Hope you have an absolutely awesome, awesome, awesome rest of your day, and I will catch you again in my next video. Sending lots of huggles. Bye!